upload the lead list from Reonomy into a dialer called mojocells.com. You can also use call tools. Both are very lucrative dialing softwares. You can use either one, but yeah, you would upload all the leads to a dialer and prospect probably the most effectively that way.
I think that's like what has been an issue. Like with prospect now, yeah, the info is there, but to try to export it, first of all, a lot of
Similar to Moody's. Moody's
Huh?
Analytics is the same exact way. So they're pretty softwares, but exporting leads are incredibly difficult.
Correct, yeah. And it gives me a bunch of numbers. Sometimes they're unrelated to the LLC and
I mean,
most
just
of
realize that that's very similar with Reonomy. Every software, CoStar does the same thing. Reonomy does the same thing. Like there are going to be some wrong numbers, but just to give you some reference, like I'll share my screen real fast for you. Right, I'm literally in the middle. Of pulling a lead list right now for my team. One of my agents just requested a lead list. You can see here, multifamily excludes properties we've already generated. Tax amounts of 25,000 or more, not sold within the last 10 years. In 3 different counties in the state of New Jersey. That includes a phone number. There's 847 properties. I literally could just go to this export button and click export.
and there's like 847 records.
Correct. So there's 847 records. I just check this box that includes the owner contacts. If you're doing retail or industrial, you can include occupants and occupant contacts, the tenants.
Like the tenants.
If you want to do like tenant rep. So you can do that as well. So, and it's really that easy. I click export and call it a day. I mean, I just name it, call and export it and call it a day.
Does it also export the ones that don't have a phone number, and
You can check
search
the
it
box
somewhere?
that only does ones with phone numbers.
But if I want to check without phone numbers,
You could do
I
that
can
too.
look them up somewhere else. Okay.
Yeah, you can do both.
Yeah, because that's what I've been doing with Prospect now. Like a lot of the LLCs, they don't have the contact, so I have to go
The
to
thing though is like, think about it. So let's just
somewhere
call
else.
this list, right, as an example, right? So we have 847 properties. I can take that lead list, I can throw it into a dialer, and my agent can call that entire list in 24 to 48 hours. Right, call it in a day or two, right? He does 400 to 1,000 calls a day. You're done in 2 days. Now, here's what's interesting though, because like our process is that we have a VA that does the lead lists. I just happened to be doing this because I was on a meeting with everybody trying to handle something. Our VA exports the lead list of exactly what they're looking for. They upload the lead list. Let's just say it's this one. So it's 850 contacts, 850 records in the dialer. Let's say over a 2-day period of time, they finish the entire lead list, 425 calls a day. They probably only speak to maybe 10%, right? So each day they speak to 10% of those people if they're lucky. Okay. So let's say they speak to 40 people, which is a great day. Okay, each day, 40 each day, which means that they spoke to, let's just call it 80 people total for 850 person list. So 850 minus 80 brings me down to 770 contacts left in the list that I did not speak to. Okay, so we clean the lead list as we prospect. Okay, so that means every one of those 40 people each of the days, or the 80 total people that we spoke with, if it's a wrong number, we delete it, okay? And if it's the correct number, we also delete it because we put it in the CRM system and there's no reason for it to be in the dialer anymore. So now that lead list, which was 850 in 48 hours, is now 770 numbers of people we have not spoken to yet, right? And now this is a completely clean list that somebody else can now call on the 3rd day. So now we're running that lead list from 850 to 0. So that's how we clean our own lists.
And I guess you kind of spend the time also like trying to find numbers in case they're not available
We don't do
somewhere
that.
else.
So we have a VA which will scrub the numbers, right? So we'll dial the list. We'll try to go through it a couple times. Our VAs know to scrub numbers that are bad numbers as well. So they'll be marked. We have a number that, the property where it keeps coming up. Like after a lead list has been hit 5 times and there's still 400 contacts in there, which we still haven't been able to get in touch with, they'll take that list, export that list, and then we'll scrub it and pay some money to get that list scrubbed. So you can just pay money to batch leads. Like you can use, I mean, there's 1,000 different skip tracing softwares, but we've used batch leads in the past. Okay. Is that, so the data piece makes sense now?
Yes. The CRM, you mentioned CRM.
I've been using Follow Up Boss for a decade, which is a residential software, but it just checks a lot of the boxes for us, so we just haven't moved softwares.
Okay, I use the same.
You could use Build Out. You could use, I mean, my rule of thumb with CRMs is that you just choose one that you'll use. It really, there's not a unbelievable CRM system besides maybe Salesforce that you could custom create, which maybe we'll look into when we feel like spending $3,000 a month for it.
Yeah, no, I use Follow Up Boss too, so.
Yeah. Not necessarily right now. Yeah, so you could probably use that. Just for scheduling, real quick, just because I know you had mentioned that. Our average day is that we have an 8:30 call. So I have my team meetings in the morning at 8:30 a.m. Okay, and then basically all my sales guys, or including myself, we get on the phone starting at 8:45, latest 9 a.m. depending on how long that meeting goes. The second that meeting ends, we hit the phones. And then I would say until about 12:30, maybe 1 o'clock, depending on your scheduling. But I would try to put in a solid 4-ish hours of prospecting, as many days a week as you feel like you can, because the entire part of commercial real estate, all commercial real estate is that we spend our business, like the two businesses that you're in the commercial real estate business is the lead gen business, right? You're generating the opportunities like we had talked about last time. And then you're in the offer generation business. You're only in those two businesses. And if you're spending time in neither of those categories, you're not making money, because you're either generating a seller lead opportunity or you're trying to pitch that deal that you just generated to a buyer to get an offer. That's it, right? That's the oversimplification of our industry. But we try to spend 4 hours in either side every day. And obviously, depending on where you are in your business and your production levels, your pendulum will swing. Maybe, like hypothetically, if you're making $300,000 or $400,000 a year, you might be spending a lot less time on lead generation because you have so many leads, because you've been doing it for so long, where your pendulum is going to be heavier on the offer generation. However, at the beginning, right now, where you don't have a lot of leads, and you might be starting from a new scratch place, right? A new foundational level. You might be spending 6 hours on lead generation.
Correct, yeah.
Right? And then the pendulum will swing the other way. But what I try to say to everybody is that the pendulum is never 100% one direction. Maybe it tops out at 75%. Because you have to do both every day. You're never just 100% in one direction.
Exactly.
So our baseline rule of thumb is 2 great leads a day, right? And what defines a great lead? Someone who's looking to sell the property in under 6 months, within 6 months. We know it's very hard to possibly get 2 super hot leads every day of people who would like to sell their property for 10 cents on the dollar. That's just not reality. We look for people who are seriously considering selling the property within a 6-month period of time. If you can generate 2 of those every single day, and the other side of that, so that's the lead generation side of the business minimum metric, and 1 offer per day is the other side of the business. That's our minimum metric. 2 leads, 1 offer per day. And then again, what I say to my team, and I say it all the time, I say it on the coaching, 2 leads a day, 1 offer a day will keep your financial worries away. People overcomplicate even working out. If you just go to the gym every single day for 30 to 45 minutes a day, and you're not just staring at weights and you actually lift it, right, you will probably get in better shape. If you generate 2 leads a day at a bare minimum, right? Maybe some days you generate 9 because you're on a roll and you have a great contact rate, but the days where maybe you're dialing for 4 hours and you only get 2 leads, you still will have, on an average basis, you're going to be in a fantastic position, along with 1 offer a day. Because what a lot of misnomers are one of the biggest issues that I see is that they do, most agents do the lead gen well. Right, guys like you who make several $100,000 a year and want to scale to making high 6 figures, 7 figures, right? They do lead generation well. Their offer generation might be off, right?
Yeah, and at least for me, I know what's true is like I think all this time, like I've been prospecting with the thought or intention of kind of like that residential mindset of get on the phone call and set a listing appointment and go and try to get the listing, right? And what I find, I don't know, I guess the difference is huge, right? It's like,
for sure,
these people are not really looking to going out and list the property for the most part. I mean, there are some, but
yeah, I'll just to give you some reference, this week alone we've put 3 properties in review, and every single one of them, right, it's only Tuesday, but every single one of them was an off-market deal where the seller specifically did not want to list the property for sale, but was very open to us bringing a buyer if we had one.
Correct, yeah.
In every single one of those scenarios, we absolutely did not pitch a listing. They did not want us to pitch a listing. No.
Did you offer it?
I mean, we asked the question if you were open to possibly listing the property, but it's not like we went there to set up a listing appointment. It was never our intention. But like, of course, we it's part of the opening routine of when they're asking questions, or when we're specifically asking questions to the seller, to specifically ask them, are you looking for a quick cash offer, or are you looking for to list the property for sale?
So I think I also need help with that, like as far as scripts, if you have any.
Yeah, have you downloaded our script book yet, or no?
No, I don't think so.
All right, hold on. I'm going to do this really quick with you. In the chat box, look alive real fast. I'm going to grab this for you. 1 second.
So, I think that has been an issue, like kind of like shifting from that mindset of, trying to go get a listing.
So right now I'm going to help you. I'm going to work you through my lens process. Okay.
Okay.
Think about it like this. Is your ideal goal to buy real estate?
My ideal goal? Yeah,
want to
sure.
own real estate? You are an investor. You
Correct.
are looking, like if you found an industrial building, 10,000, 30,000, 70,000 square feet, and they wanted to sell it for a tenth of what it's worth. Like, unbelievable home run, like once in a lifetime type of scenario. You probably would be like, hey, like, I should raise some money and buy this deal, or buy it yourself, right? I should sell all my single family condos, and I should buy this deal. That thought would go through your head. It's like, okay, I'm the same way, right? I've raised a lot of money. I plan on raising hundreds of millions, and if not billions of dollars more in my lifetime, right? To acquire as much real estate as I possibly can, which will support me achieving my goal of, building a real estate private equity fund. As well as helping investors make great returns on their money. So it's like, that all being said, I'm an investor, you're an investor. So the first lens, think about it like multiple lenses. You ever go to the place to get your eyes checked, the ophthalmologist, and they have all those lenses they kind of flip through? Yeah. That's what I always think about when I talk about lenses, right? So it's like, I'm just like, if you're gonna, I don't know where my sunglasses went, but I put on the first lens is an investor, right? So lens number one is an investor, okay? You generate a lead. At what price would this be so stupid of me to not buy? That's my first lens. I look at every lead. You give me property. Let's just say you and I are partners. You generated a property, 123 Main Street, some warehouse in you're based out of where again?
No, here I'm Hollywood.
Hollywood. That's right. Let's say you generate a warehouse out in Hollywood, 30,000 square foot warehouse. Seller wants to sell 123 Main Street. And we would look at this property specifically at first as saying, at what price would I go? This is an unbelievable deal. Let's raise some money. Let's buy the deal. Okay, that's number one. Number two is wholesaling. Number two lens is a wholesaler, which basically says, or means to me, at what price does it make sense for me to lock this up? Because I still know that an investor will pay me substantially more than what I have it locked up for. And it would be stupid for me to just take a broker fee. So let me explain so far really quick. I mean, like, look, you know the Hollywood market. I know the Hollywood market. Let's just say, let's say market value of that property, which we're going to come to in a minute. Okay, we'll get to market value in a second. But let's just say market value of that property is $250 a square foot. Okay, it's it's not brand new, but it's decently new. So 30,000 square feet times $250 a foot, that's $7.5 million. That's market value. So we're going to get to that in just a moment. Investor lens. I want to buy this thing for $3 million. So I would draft an offer. First thing I would do, investor lens, is I would submit a letter of intent within 24 to 48 hours to this property owner of $3 million cash, close in 60 days. Number two, let's just say he counters me and he goes, I would never sell it for $3 million. That's ridiculous, because a lot of people are going to say that. But here's the thing I always like to joke around with people because they get so weird about it. If I'm a legitimate buyer, which I am, and you call me up and say, hey, I have a 30,000 square foot warehouse in Hollywood, Florida. They want to sell. They don't have a price. What would you offer on it? Okay, legitimate conversation you might have. And I'm a legitimate investor. And I say to you, well, I don't have much information based on what you've given me. It's going to be sold to maybe vacant, maybe it's occupied, whatever. Based on all the information, I want to offer $3 million. In your head, you go, yeah, I mean, that would be an unbelievable deal. I doubt the seller's going to take it, but would you present it if I was a true investor?
If you were a true investor?
Yeah, I'm just saying, let's just say I was your client and I said I wanted to buy the building, I want to offer $3 million. Would you present the offer?
Yeah, I mean, at least will give me some idea of where the seller stands.
This is my exact point. I agree with you. So I saw the same exact thing. So I was like, why are we not just presenting offers as fast as humanly possible? Because I know what my investors will offer on every property. It's not rocket science. They just do math. And what a lot of real estate agents do is that they just don't understand the math. So they rely on somebody else to do the math so that they can then present an offer to the seller. But what happens is a normal investor is going to ask for what before they make an offer?
They want to see maybe comps, see what it's worth, or?
Yeah, keep going. Comps. What else am I going to want to see?
Numbers?
Yeah,
right?
Financials,
cash flow,
P&L, the rent roll, right? What else am I going to want to see? Leases, pictures
yeah.
of the inside, right? All this different stuff. And what happens is that if you call up a seller randomly, are they going to want to give you all of that?
Oh, yeah, no.
No, right? So all of a sudden, we go in this weird routine, this weird circle, this weird cycle, which most real estate agents get caught up in on every lead. Yeah. Because they get caught up in this weird wheel that they can't go all the way around in this cycle. And then they're like, okay, well, this isn't working, or this is taking weeks, if not months, to get through. And they're like, and then instead what they've been taught is that instead of going through this wheel, they just go, let's pitch a listing. And then the seller goes, I'm not interested in listing my property. You called me. I just want to know what my property, or I would like to, just get an offer from you. And then you go back to this wheel. The vast majority of properties that trade are done off market direct to seller from, buyer to direct to seller. And obviously sometimes there's a broker involved, but this is why my multiple lens strategy crushes it, because all you need to learn is what your investors would probably offer on the property and just go through the lenses in order and just perform the same action that they would do on your own. Because if you and I are working as partners and you have a 30,000 square foot warehouse in Hollywood and the seller was willing to agree to $3 million, we probably would raise $1 million and buy the deal. $100 a square foot in Hollywood, Florida for a relatively newer construction. I mean, we're making up a deal here, but you get my point.
Correct, yeah.
Because that property would appraise probably as soon as we got it leased up, if not in as-is condition, even if it was vacant, for probably $5 million or $6 million.
Correct, yeah.
All day long. Okay, so steel. Now, next lens is wholesaling. So we would say is probably at where's our benchmark in which we could acquire, or if not lock up this deal and flip it for at least 10%, maybe 15 or 20%. Okay, well, if an investor would probably pay, let's just say something in the vicinity of $180 a square foot, almost no matter what on this deal. $180 a foot, Hollywood, Florida, probably almost any day of the week, even if it was vacant for a relatively newer construction deal, all day long and twice on Sunday. They probably pay roughly $180 a foot. So $180 per square foot times 30,000 square feet is what? $5.4 million. $5.4 million is my benchmark of what somebody would probably pay. So anything below that allows me opportunity, allows me choice as a wholesaler. So if I can get this seller to agree to $4 million, $4.5 million, even $5 million, it doesn't make sense for me to put 6% commission on it because I can make substantially more.
I like it.
Okay. So, but you have to find those opportunities. Now, look, I'm not saying you're going to make $2 million on every deal, but you need to at least be able to visually understand where things are to know when those opportunities come along because we've seen them.
Oh yeah, man, I've come across over the years,
But this is why we move, instead of being stuck in the same lens, the same seat as a real estate agent, we shift to investor mindsets. Okay, we learn how they think, we learn how they operate, so that we can do the same exact thing. So instead of them making all the money, we can share in the wealth. That's the whole purpose.
Correct, yeah.
And if I could buy this deal for $3 million, I would add that to my portfolio. So the wholesaling mindset is understand your benchmark and get it substantially below the benchmark. Now let's just say the benchmark, like we just said, it was $5.4 million, and the guy wants $6.5 million. Yeah, the seller. Let's just say they won't go below, or they won't hit our benchmark. They want maybe $6.5 million. Let's call it $6 for $200 a square foot, just to make it easy. They want $6 million. Here's the thing: $200 a square foot for a decently brand new construction, or newer construction warehouse in Hollywood is still probably relatively decent of an opportunity. Probably not a lot of those opportunities come along too often, so it's still decent. It just might not be an unbelievable deal.
So, it might be more for like a retail. Right?
Lens number 3, off-market brokering. So somewhere in this benchmark, the 6, maybe $6.5 million range, this is where my team does a lot of business, right? Off-market brokering. This is kind of like our catch-all, right? Because then we still have the last one, which is market value, which I'll explain in a second. But let's just say at this point, what we're going to do is that we're going to call up our entire lead list, blast our lead list. Obviously get some permission from the seller, like, hey, do you mind if we put this in front of some of our buyer clients to try to get you the best offer possible? Sure, get me an offer. I don't care. That's what we hear all the freaking time. We don't care. Just get me the best offer possible. No problem. We'll put it in front of a few of our buyers. We'll get them a couple offers. Let's say the best possible offer that we get is $6 million. He wants $6 million. We have $6 million. Here's the thing. We want to get paid.
Right. So you just put it on top.
So we do one of two things. You can either put it on top, right? Which means I would pitch this deal out at 6.5 or 6.4, and I would try to add my 6% commission on top, which is very normal. However, I don't know if someone will pay that price. Maybe someone I know can pay $200 a foot, and they offer $6 million. I will then go to the seller and say, hey, I have an offer for you of $5.6 million. I know you want 6. Here's 5.6, and I will negotiate to make sure there's room for Henry. Now, don't get me wrong, and I say this to everybody. If the seller goes, listen, I need to net $5.9 million, and that's it. That's my number. If I don't net 5.9, I don't sell my property. I don't need to sell. And the buyer then says, I won't pay $1 more than $6 million. And if he wants more than $6 million, I'm walking. I'll take 100 and call it a day. I'm not greedy. I'm taking 1.4 points and call it whatever. It's fine. It's fine, or whatever that is, 1.6 points. It doesn't matter. Like, it's just take it and run. Like, don't be weird about it, right? And I'm not saying I get 6 points on every deal. We average typically 4.75 to 5.5 points on a deal.